This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Cities along the eastern coast of China brace for heavy rain and strong winds as Typhoon Infa makes landfall. We revisit the major oil spill in Mauritius and track progress made in cleanup efforts a year later. And 20 new galaxies are discovered using the Meerkat telescope in South Africa. Hello and welcome. You're watching Africa Live. We're coming to live from Nairobi. I'm Hannah Viviers. Here are more stories making headlines. After days of unrest, a logistics firm in South Africa seeks to regain control of a hacked IT system. And in your sport, Tunisian teenager Ahmed Hafnaoui wins the 400 meters swimming freestyle at the Tokyo Olympics to give Africa its first gold medal. We begin in China, where cities along the eastern coast are bracing for heavy rain and strong winds. This is Typhoon Infa made landfall in Zhejiang province on Sunday. Local authorities have issued the highest emergency alert. In Shanghai, more than 360,000 people have been evacuated. Meanwhile, Shanghai and neighboring coastal regions have cancelled all flights. Public transport has been reduced or suspended. Businesses have closed shop. Heavy rain is expected in the next 3 days. Wang Qianghui has more.
The highest level emergency response has been in place in Zhejiang province since Saturday. Authorities also issued the maximum alert for storm surges and waves at sea. Typhoon Infa hit the island city of Zhoushan at 12:30 p.m. with wind speeds of up to 135 kilometers an hour. It was forecast to sweep through multiple regions, including Shanghai and parts of Gansu and Anhui provinces. Shanghai and neighboring coastal regions cancelled all flights. Public transport was reduced or suspended, and businesses shuttered up. In Zhejiang's Zhoushan Island, where Infa first landed, the storm blew an anchored ship away. Emergency teams rescued the 12 crew members. Villagers were evacuated. And in the provincial capital Hangzhou, floodwaters in some areas were waist deep. Forecasters are also warning other surrounding regions, including Shandong in the east and the inland province of Henan, to prepare for the storm's effects. Wang Qianhui, CGTN.
Days of torrential rain and massive floods have hit central China's Henan province, causing disruptions and forcing over 1.1 million people to evacuate. More than 60 people have lost their lives. 5 others are still missing. The floods took people by surprise. Some say it will take a long time for them to recover.
No one expected Zhengzhou, a northern city in China, to experience such heavy downpours. None of us knew the underground station would be flooded so badly. At 7:22 on Tuesday, I managed to get out of the station. By the time I climbed onto the platform, floodwater had reached my waist.
One of the most horrifying scenes occurred on Line 5 of the Zhengzhou subway. Hundreds of commuters got trapped in mountain water as murky torrents gushed into the tunnel and seeped into the carriages. 12 people lost their lives and 5 others were injured. Authorities said more than 500 passengers were evacuated.
People around us were clenching the railings next to the tunnel. The water level rose to our shoulders. Its impact was so vast that it flushed things away easily. My arms were injured due to this. Bruises are everywhere, including this. I felt calmer and more secure as soon as I saw the firefighters.
More than 6,000 firefighters and 2,000 soldiers were deployed across disaster-hit areas. Civil society groups have also been working hard to help with recovery efforts in Henan province.
The water can reach a depth of up to 2 meters. Many are stranded at this point, and they don't have any food. They're in a difficult situation right now.
Heavy rain stopped on Thursday. The capital, Zhengzhou, downgraded its flood emergency response from level 1 to 2. Road traffic gradually resumed in Zhengzhou and cleanup work began, along with disinfection and sterilization. The city of 12 million people is gradually getting back to normal. Henan authorities say the intensity of the downpour was unprecedented, with more than 20 centimeters of rain dumping onto Zhengzhou in 1 hour on Tuesday afternoon. That accounts for 1/3 of the city's annual rainfall recorded last year. Torrential rains have also battered other cities in Henan province since last weekend, leaving many people stranded. Although flooding in summer happens in some parts of the world every year, recent record-breaking rains have alarmed scientists and governments, raising concerns about climate change and whether they are prepared to deal with more extreme and unpredictable weather.
Meanwhile, in the northwest of China, where summer sandstorm has hit west of Gansu province in Dunhuang City, a giant sand front was caught on camera as it was about to sweep over the community. It shrouded the region for over 10 minutes. Over in nearby Askai County, residents also suffered a fierce sandstorm. It resulted in visibility being reduced to less than 50 meters there. The extreme weather is forecast to last until early Monday. Residents have been urged to stay at home. A deputy U.S. Secretary of State has arrived in the city of Tianjin. Wendy Sherman is expected to meet Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Experts say it's a chance for both sides to find some common ground amid deteriorating relations. CGTN's Yang Shanshan has more.
6 months into U.S. President Joe Biden's reign at the White House, and China and the U.S. are having another go improving their relations, after years of disputes over issues such as trade, tech, and human rights. But why this port city on China's northeast coast?
Oh, I think the reason I believe is because of the pandemic. We don't have any foreign foreign official visit to Beijing in recent months because of the need to control the pandemic.
China is the last stop on the overseas trip, which has already taken the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State to Japan, South Korea, and Mongolia. Ahead of Wendy Sherman's arrival, there are signs relations aren't getting any better between Washington and Beijing. The U.S. has accused China of cyber attacks and warned China on issues related to Hong Kong. China announced it would impose sanctions on several U.S. individuals and organizations in response to sanctions placed on Chinese officials in the Special Administrative Region. As tensions mount, experts believe the time is right for a face-to-face meeting, but say the sides need to respect each other's interests and find a way forward which works for both.
My big expectation is U.S. should also just lay out some sort of very, very basic principle in handling the relations with China. For example, no intervention into the Chinese domestic politics, no intervention into the China's some sort of, domestic affairs, just like Hong Kong, Xinjiang, and other things.
I think the Biden administration want to have competition with China, and that could be a healthy competition. At least that could be a limited competition. Competition is different from confrontation. And it's of course different from conflict. We need to find out the differences, the nuance between the two administrations, Biden and Trump, and try to grasp the opportunity here.
It's expected if all goes well, the Tianjin meeting will pave the way for a higher level meeting and even possibly involving two presidents. Bilateral relations are generally thought to be at the lowest level in decades, as the world's two largest economies are struggling to find a mutual understanding. But it's hoped that this meeting could be the start of a new approach. Yang Shanshan, CGTN, Tianjin.
China's successful economic and development model continues to generate positive feedback across Africa. Under the Chinese Communist Party, the country has significantly reduced poverty and become an influential country globally. In Cameroon and Senegal, political party leaders have applauded the tremendous progress China has made over the past century. The two countries are encouraging more South-South cooperation to achieve development for their economies.
This year, China and Cameroon celebrated 50 years of diplomatic relations. Over the last few years, the two countries have seen fruitful results through cooperation on various fields. Political parties in Cameroon say working with a partner like China has been immensely beneficial, as the Asian country has become an important force on the international stage.
China leads the world in technological innovation and also in cultural innovation. Chinese culture 30 years ago was not what it is today. No one imagined that the whole world would start to speak the Chinese language. Today, countries are struggling to get Confucius centers opened at home. This is called cultural influence. On the geocultural level, China has influence. It decides at the level of the Security Council. It is really extraordinary. The Chinese Communist Party was able to anticipate the end of the Cold War and to reorient its policy internally and externally.
The message we want to send to China is one of encouragement. We really want them to stay the course. What impresses us the most is the way China has succeeded in eradicating poverty, which is the worst enemy of humanity. To succeed in eradicating poverty is to achieve a work of peace.
In 2005, China and Senegal restored diplomatic ties. Bilateral trade with Senegal now tops $1 billion. The two largest parties in Senegal say China's amazing progress is commendable.
In fact, what impressed me the most was the fact that the Chinese Communist Party has succeeded in making an absolutely prodigious leap in China in 100 years. We don't realize this progress enough because we are not in China to follow the different historical sequences. But we must know how in 100 years China has proceeded to reach this current level of development, and also measure the number of obstacles that this Asian country has had to overcome.
As a political party, we congratulate China for this fabulous result, achieved through its courage and culture of work instilled in the people. It's even in this sense that we, as the Senegalese Democratic Party, have been able to imitate the ideology of China while adopting the slogan of this party, which is, you have to work, a lot of work, still work, always work. The Chinese Communist Party is the central key to the Chinese political system, and it is thanks to this organization and ideology that China is today a powerful and coveted nation beyond the world.
China-Africa cooperation has been seen as fundamental for Africa's development. The Asian country has grown to be very influential in global governance, health partnerships, international development and economic growth. Noktula Shabalala, CGTN.
Well, let's head over to North Africa now, where in Tunisia, hundreds of protesters rallied in the capital, Tunis, and other cities on Sunday. In the capital, many demonstrators threw stones at police who, in turn, used pepper spray against them. Demonstrators are reported to be protesting what they describe as a political crisis. They're also asking the government to step down following a spike in COVID-19 infections and deaths. Protesters in Sousse tried to storm the local headquarters of the moderate Islamist Ennahda, which is the biggest party in parliament. In Tazur, protesters set fire to Ennahda headquarters there. Tunisia's economy has faced many challenges since the 2011 popular revolt. It's been battered even further by the effects of COVID-19. Well, July the 25th marks 1 year since the Japanese cargo carrier MV Wakashio ran aground off the coast of Mauritius. The ship spilled approximately 1,000 tons of oil in the Indian Ocean, endangering coral reefs and lagoons. The ecological catastrophe at the heart of a biodiversity hotspot captured global attention. Our correspondent Liu Feifei gives us an update on the situation there a year later.
The Wakashio oil spill affected some 30 kilometers of this pristine coastline. And for the residents of these affected coastal villages, they were dependent on this coastline for every aspect of their lives. It's where they live and where they make their livelihoods, from fishing and marine tourism. And the double whammy of COVID-19 border closures and the oil spill grounded life here to a halt. But now there's renewed hope for the future.
Meet Davina and Christoph Bullock. They own and operate a diving center near the Wakashio shipwreck.
like I'm born in Mayberg with the families who were fishermen, grandfather, uncle. So swimming, diving, snorkeling was one of the favorite activities where I'm born. So my DNA was in the water. That's my passion. I started scuba diving when I was 14, and I think now it's like 15 years I'm in the water.
March 2020 was a very great year for us because it was a dream come true. My husband and I were able to open our diving center, but unfortunately a few weeks after it was the pandemic of COVID-19. After the lockdown, we say we are ready now to go back in our business, but unfortunately we never imagined that we are going to have the oil spill of Wakasho. It was one catastrophe after another, and it was very difficult for us.
The Wakasho oil spill brought out the extraordinary in ordinary Mauritians. They are the real heroes, sacrificing their health, time, and even their hair to contain the spill. The Vina was on site coordinating the volunteers from day one, and Christophe, he made countless trips to contain the spilled oil and later helped to clean the mangroves.
The whole community were here on the waterfront of Maibo to do whatever we can. Despite not being expert in oil spill, we use artisanal booms with sugarcane, artisanal boom with hairs to clean the lagoon of Mayberg.
Through the combined efforts of the Mauritian people, government agencies, and civil society, the cleanup was declared essentially finished by January. But many questions remain. A top-of-mind issue for local residents is the full extent of damages and compensation.
I have been a fisherman since 40 years. We have not go fishing for about 8 months. I can say that we fishermen community in the southeast coast of Mauritius deeply had help from the government of Mauritius and also from the Japanese company. The government gave us the assistance, but we fishermen, we think that it's not enough.
And now, at the one-year anniversary, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
So now everyone is rushing back to the sea again to do kite surfing, windsurfing, scuba diving. Like everything is looking back to normal now, and we're waiting for the borders to open again to start all our activities with the tourists again.
This is not the end of the Wakasho story, just the beginning of a new chapter. Resilience and determination from the local residents, together with the restorative abilities of Mother Nature, has brought back this slice of paradise. Liu Feifei, CGTN, Point Jerome, Mauritius.
Let's move over to South Africa now, where ports operator Transnet is working to get its systems back online after they were hacked. The state-owned entity has been on high alert after looting, vandalism, and arson in KwaZulu-Natal affected its operations. It's now investigating whether the cyber attack may be linked to the recent unrest. CGTN's Julie Shire reports.
South African state-run logistics and ports operator Transnet was dealt another blow this week. A cybersecurity breach knocked out its vital container terminal operating system, forcing the entity to revert to old methods.
When you start taking that system out of the equation and go back to a manual basis, in the sense of running with lever arch files and forms, you don't have the staff or the resources to maintain that, which means the efficiency of that port itself is then impacted.
The port of Durban, also one of Africa's biggest terminal, was recently shut after looting and arson in the KwaZulu-Natal province. Calm has returned and operations were recovering, but this glitch will cause further setbacks.
That's going to have a knock-on effect to things like any of the goods that we need, some of the fresh goods that we need, some of the foods that we need, some of the parts and components that we need. I just think about some of the car manufacturing plants that have components being shipped in that could bring a motor vehicle manufacturing plant to its knees.
Imports and exports were under pressure from COVID-19 restrictions. Delays are now expected to drag on for much longer.
We currently have a container sitting ready to leave. Due to the unrests, we were unable to, port went into lockdown, so we were not able to send that container out. So clients are waiting for them in our international countries of exports, example, New Zealand, the United States, United Kingdom. However, what has now happened is going to impact us greatly, and this is going to now cause financial implications.
South Africa is investigating if the cyber attack is linked to the recent unrest.
I think all of these public sector infrastructure installations around the world, not just South Africa, are always under threat and under attack. And I think it's just, there might be a coincidence between what's happening within KZN and Gauteng with regards to the destabilization. I don't think there's any evidence to bring the two together. The majority of these attacks are probing activities, so they can try and get some monetary gain.
Cape Town and other ports in South Africa are now functioning manually. There's no clear indication from Transnet when systems will be back and running again, but it's likely to have a significant impact on the already ailing economy. Julie Shire, CGTN, Cape Town, South Africa.
Well, staying in South Africa, radio astronomers from the University of Pretoria say they have discovered a group of 20 new galaxies. The find was made using the country's Meerkat telescope, which is one of the world's most powerful radio telescopes. According to radio astronomers, the new group of galaxies were found in a well-studied part of the sky. Here's CGTN's Travis Andrews with the details.
South Africa's Meerkat radio telescope has made a significant discovery. A group of 20 new galaxies have been found. These neutral hydrogen gas-rich galaxies were discovered hiding in plain sight by radio astronomers from the University of Pretoria. They discovered the galaxies in a well-studied region of the skies, and it was possible because of Meerkat's sensitivity to radio waves.
Most star-forming galaxies are embedded in a cloud of neutral hydrogen gas. And this gas is only observable at radio wavelengths, so with radio telescopes like Meerkat. And even then, it's extremely faint. And because of Meerkat's amazing sensitivity, we were actually able to detect this gas. And in addition to that, Meerkat has a very large field of view, which means it's able to observe quite a large portion of the sky at one time. And that led us to believe that these galaxies were not just individual galaxies floating through space, they actually were related to each other, and they were a group.
The Meerkat radio telescope is a precursor to the Square Kilometre Array radio telescope, which will be the world's largest when completed. According to radio astronomers, the galaxies were not just individual ones, but are actually related to each other and are part of a group. This suggests the galaxy group is still in the process of assembly and has not yet undergone evolutionary processes.
We found that this galaxy group is in the early stages of forming, which is a unique snapshot of the lifetime of a galaxy group. And this is a piece of the puzzle of how galaxy groups are formed and how the galaxies in groups evolve together. And this can tell us a lot about even our own galaxy group.
The discovery of the galaxies may be significant, but experts believe new and similar discoveries will also be made by the Square Kilometre Array. Now, that project's construction phase was given the green light recently, and first science is expected in 2022. Travis Andrews, CGTN, Cape Town.
Well, Africa won her first gold medal of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics when Tunisia's Ahmed Ayoub Hafnaoui stunned the swimming world by winning the men's 400-meter freestyle on Sunday. The North Africans now lead the continental medal chart after Mohamed Khalil Jendoubi took silver in the men's taekwondo 58-kilogram category on Saturday. CGTN's Adnan Shiwashi brings us this report from Tunis.
Ahmed Ayoub Hafnaoui has won Tunisia's first of Tokyo 2020 and the country's third ever Olympics gold medal in swimming. Hafnaoui won gold ahead of Australia's Jack McLaughlin and Kieran Smith from the U.S. who took silver and bronze. It was also Africa's first gold medal of this Olympics. The Tunisian Swimming Federation has described Hafnaoui's performance as a historic achievement.
Nobody was expecting this exceptional result, but we believed in our athlete. Our rising star continued his preparation for the Olympics despite the lockdown in Tunisia and the coronavirus crisis. Ayoub is the pride of all Tunisians. The gold medalist is the 100% Tunisian. Now we are waiting for the 800-meter challenge, which is his specialty.
Tunisia's 19-year-old Mohamed Khalil Jendoubi won Africa's first medal of the 2020 Olympics when taking silver in the men's taekwondo 58-kilogram category. The local federation has also hailed the teenager as one of the best taekwondo martial artists in the continent.
Our champion promised to win a medal in the Olympics, and he did it in Tokyo. His silver medal is a gift for Tunisia, the Arab countries and Africa. Khalil's performance was extraordinary. He was ready physically and mentally to reach the Olympic podium.
Watching the games on TV and online, Tunisians celebrated the country's first gold and silver medals. The North Africans now lead the African medal charts with those medals.
Although it was very late at night, I watched the swimming race with my family. It's very moving. Hafnoui is the best swimmer in France, where he moved recently. He is a brave Tunisian champion.
Khalil Jedoubi has inspired all taekwondo and martial arts practitioners in Tunisia. I did not know him before, but I have become one of his fans. The medal in the Olympics is the dream of any athlete.
Tunisia's official delegation in the Summer Olympics is represented by 63 athletes in 16 disciplines. The North African state has now surpassed its tally from Rio 2016, where it won 3 bronze medals. Adnan Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
Well, Cote d'Ivoire held fancy to Brazil to a 0-0 draw as South Africa suffered a heartbreaking 4-3 loss to France in the men's football tournament of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics on Sunday. The Ivorians restricted the Rio 2016 champions to only 4 shots on goal in a Group D game, both finished with 10 men. In Group A, South Africa are out of the tournament after letting a 3-2 advantage with 10 minutes left to slip in their loss to France. Striker Andre Pierre Guignac converted an 86-minute penalty to complete his hat-trick before Teji Savania's late goal broke Bafana Bafana's hearts. Elsewhere, Africa's sole representatives in women's volleyball, Kenya, surrendered 3-0 to host and 2-time Olympic champions Japan in Pool A. Kenya's Sharon Chepchumba, who emerged the game's top scorer with 18 points, said all was not lost with 4 preliminary matches still to go.
This was not my level best performance, the way I expected, but I have learned a lot from the team we played against, and I'm really appreciating my team for the sacrifice and the composure to play the way they did.
It's a disappointing moment because we had planned to win this opening match for us, but it couldn't work today. I think going forward we have to do more extra work. Japan came in reluctant, and we should have taken the advantage by winning, but we concentrated so much on Japan's team, and we forgot how we play ourselves. But I thank the players because they came back in the third set and they started playing, enjoying, which we could have done it earlier. It could have given us more chance of beating Japan.
Well, Tunisia broke into the top 10 of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics medal standings on Sunday as the only African nation that has scaled the podium of the Summer Games so far. China returns to the summit with 6 gold, a silver and a bronze after earlier surrendering the top position to host Japan, who have 5 gold and a silver. The United States round the top 3 on 4 gold, 2 silver and 4 bronze as the global sporting powerhouse finally got up and running. Well, that's it for this edition of Africa Live. Remember that you can send us your feedback to the contacts on the screen and follow us on digital media platforms. From me, Hannah Viviers, and the rest of the Africa Live team, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next time.